This is Josiah Plays Tyranny. Alright, we're talking to Tunon, finally, the great and mighty Tunon, Archon of Justice, and our boss. And we're asking him some questions. And we have a decent amount of favor, and now we have a little bit of wrath with him as well. Tell me about Blood and Mark. That's the Archon Assassin. Gnoiden, how you doing? What's going on, Gnoiden?
He is my headsman and an assassin.
Okay, we have a problem here. I was using my other bottle to do the Tunon voice before, and it was mostly empty. And now I have a super full bottle. I'm trying to do the Tunon voice with it, and it's no bueno. Okay. Not good.
He is my...
And I'm like making a mess because the bottle's so full that when I try to,
I can't do it anymore. I can't do the echoey Tunon voice. He is my headsman and an assassin without equal. His official designation in Kairos' hierarchy is the Archon of Shadows, though I wonder that he ever considers himself aught but a slayer of the unjust.
Hey, what's up, Photon Joker? Good to see you. What's up? Gnoiden, you've been hanging around since my first 24-hour stream. My first one? You mean my 24-hour stream yesterday, or do you mean the 24-hour stream I did, which was actually the 50-hour stream way back when it was Pillars of Eternity? The Spartans lost to Thermopylae because they ran out of Orange Rush at the local Orange Julius. I see what you're saying there, Saito. I'm the only person you've seen that's aligned with the Vendrian Guard, really? Well. Oh, first Tyranny stream. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Well, welcome. Glad you're here, Gnoiden. How did he earn his title?
His work away from the court takes Blood and Mark to the dark places of the world, the tears of Northern Empire alike. Over time, shadows became his dominion. They cloak him, protect him, and even fight for him if the need arises. It is said that Blood and Mark can travel to any place where shadows are cast. Only he would know this for certain.
Dude, being able to travel literally anywhere where there's a shadow would be a pretty fucking sweet power. Does Blood and Mark serve you alone?
Your question is flawed. We are all servants of Kairos. The Archons are also agents of their own interests. Those chosen few empowered to bring order to the world in accordance with Kairos' peace.
Yeah, Blood and Mark does sound like he's gonna be a boss that I'm gonna have to fight, huh?
At present, Blood and Mark is my vassal, and I his patron. The relationship is not so different from Graven Ash and Cairn, the fallen Archon, or the voices of Narat and his songbird Siren.
Yeah, that's kind of how I figured it went.
Such partnerings and apprenticeships are common. They provide mutual benefit to the Archons involved, as well as a measure of oversight.
Back to my other questions.
You may proceed.
I'm curious about you, Archon. Got a girlfriend, or...?
Curiosity is not a trait that I encourage in my servants. Too often have I witnessed such activity leading down a path to lawlessness. However, if you feel that a better understanding of me will inform your work, then I will allow it. What would you know?
Okay, I gotta do it. I gotta get me some average wrath here. What's the deal with your mask? He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it.
This should be obvious to you by now, student. Since the answer is relevant to your duties, I will tolerate your ignorance and explain. The face.
He's face-palming. He's actually face-palming.
The face is an uncontrollable warren of muscle spasms and reactionary contortions, sickening in its display of every petty bias. It cannot be trusted to audience or judge a dispute without navigating a gauntlet of subjectivity for all to witness.
I'm not gonna say I think I've had enough crazy talk, though. Go on.
In my early days, before the Northern Empire spread to my lands, I fashioned the mask of listening out of stern, uncaring wood. This expression of enduring patience hearkens the testimony of my petitioners, taking in all evidence before weighing matters in their due course. Later in my career, Kairos herself gifted me the Mask of Resolve. You will find it almost identical to the Mask of Listening, save for the brow furrowed in contemplation and weighed down by the burden of judgment. This is the face that dispenses law, often the most exacting and unforgiving sort. I wore it when I brought Kairos' devastating judgment to the bastard city, and doubtless I will wear it again.
You thought he just doesn't have a face after Ascension, that it's all just smoke behind it? Well, that's possible. Ooh, I can use my very high lore. Does the Mask of Resolve grant you the power of judgment?
An astute question. Kairos would certainly be within her authority to grant me the function to do extraordinary deeds. But no. The mask is a symbol. Justice itself grants me power.
Justice itself grants you power. Oh my god, this guy's Valor from fucking... This guy's Valor from Planescape Torment.
An objective ruling is its own consent to enact incredible wonders.
What does that mean?
Such is my right as the Archon of Law. When I recognize a jurisprudent need, there is nothing I cannot do.
Maybe that's his power. Do anything he wants, as long as it's consistent with justice. Because that'd be a hell of a power. That would be a hell of a power.
I wore it when I brought Kairos' devastating judgment to the bastard city, and doubtless I will wear it again.
What do you look like underneath the masks? Tunon hovers in silence, staring down at you. We're about to gain some more wrath with Tunon. He's not amused. We're going for it. Your Honor? We're already up to wrath, too. The shadows wreathing Tunon's feet whip about like waves in a storm, ebbing and flowing in your direction. An unmistakable air of danger fills the room. Should I ask him again? Should I ask him again? Yup. Your Honor?
The question is irrelevant. Justice is ageless, sexless, devoid of opinion other than the right or wrong. A face is extraneous to the function of law. Move on from this line of questioning, Fatebinder. It will do you no good.
Oh, dude, I can still keep pushing it? What happens if you get high-ass wrath with fucking Tunon? Does he, like... Yes, but what do you look like? Do you even remember?
I wore the mask of my office for centuries. Like my gavel, it is a symbol, a testament to my authority. There is no need to remove it.
Oh, he's getting mad. I'm gain major wrath. We're getting serious with the wrath now. That doesn't answer my question. Oh, he's pissed. Look at that wrath. Wrath 4 already.
And yet it must suffice. You go too far, Fatebinder. You have earned the court's displeasure, and I will hear no more out of you. Dismissed.
Tunon slams the pommel of his gavel to the ground. Oh. Oh, I can apologize.
Fatebinder, what do you want?
Though his expression never changes, you feel the pressure of a concentrated glare from Tunon's mask. I wish to apologize for my line of questioning earlier, Your Honor.
You surprised me with your impudent presumption. Certainly you challenge the court's opinion of you. And yet I will not hold you in my permanent contempt. In spite of the disrespect you showed this court, the right to cross-examine a testimony is yours by law, of which we are both subjects. For your own sake, I hope you show prudence in the future.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have some questions.
What is it you wish to know?
I'm curious about you, Archon. I can go through this whole thing again? Hold on. Will I keep gaining wrath? Alright, I can ask him more questions about himself. Now I have to buy him flowers and say sorry and be nice to him for a while, and maybe he will feel better about it tonight. Yeah, and I've got to watch like a bunch of shows with him that he likes that are really lame and I hate. And I've got to like go antiquing with him and like pretend like I'm interested in the horrible fucking things that he's interested in. Yeah. It's like any relationship.
Very well. You were most indecisive today, Fatebinder. I find it unbecoming.
I feel like Tunon's gonna say to me at any moment,
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
You'd reload the game? Nah, I'm not gonna reload the game. Unless something comes up in this conversation that leads me to believe that I really need to. Actually, I want to look at something. I want to look at my reputation with him. See, favor and wrath with him don't grant any abilities, so that's pretty interesting. I do really want to know what happens when you get to the top end of fucking wrath with this dude. Look at Graven Ash! Man, Graven Ash hates me. Voice is Naran, though. He likes me almost as much as he hates me. Vendrian Guard fucking love me. And they have no wrath toward me. The Vendrian Guard think I'm basically the greatest fucking thing since, I don't know, since milk. Scum Save, what's up, Scum Save? Good to see you. How you doing? Would be funny if he initiates combat and party wipes you. Yeah, that would be funny, actually. That'd be amazing. All that favor I built up with the disfavored and the chorus, well, mostly with the chorus, pretty much gone. Spurting blood. That's pretty cool. Holy crap. If I get enough wrath with disfavored, I can sever the bond between Graven Ash and any disfavored in the area, preventing them from receiving the benefits of Ash's Aegis. That's incredible. I need to work on my disfavored wrath. Oh, I see. Linked reputations. So your reputations with them, with Ash and the Rat, goes up and down also when your reputations with the Chorus and the Disfavored go up and down. Alright, let's finish talking to him.
Fatebinder, you look as if you require my counsel.
Tell me about your rise to become adjudicator.
Curb your ambitions, student. My path to this dais is not one that could be replicated under any circumstances. However, if your curiosity is determined, I will tell you my story.
Yeah, I'd love to have his story. I'm going to use the lore 58. I wish to understand law and your execution of it. He likes this. See, now we're up to favor 4 with him, almost favor 5.
An admirable pursuit. You know much of Kairos' law and the maintenance of order already. My history may tell you something of how it can be used to win wars. I came into the world centuries ago, before the dream of a unified Northern Empire was fully realized. My home country lay far from the borders of Kairos' realm, and our conquest was a matter of distant speculation. Decades before rumor of Kairos' approach grew in panicked volume, I familiarized myself with the intricacies of her law. It took me no time at all to realize the benefits of our inevitable subjugation. I took it upon myself to rise in my country's governance as an arbiter of law and drafter of covenants, building some notoriety for my execution of fair justice.
He's not just going to kill me outright. That would actually be lame.
As my influence and the trust of my people evolved, my decisions transcended to define future precedent.
Go on.
What my countrymen could not have surmised was that I had woven into our customs the very backbone of Kairos' law. I set the stage for the conquest of our floundering nation to join the Overlord's empire. By the time the Overlord's armies presented themselves and offered terms of surrender, we had adopted Kairos' peace in all but name. Our absorption into the Northern Empire was a matter of legal formality, negligible changes to our already beloved document of law. The people credited me as the architect of peace, and for a time called me Tunon the Fair. As my importance grew in their estimate, Kairos could not help but learn of the part I had played in her bloodless victory. Kairos' law has a breadth of intricacies that is unapproachable to the masses. I was chosen to interpret and represent the Overlord's will across the Northern Empire and beyond. This time as adjudicator. It is my pride, my duty, my life.
God, Tunon so reminds me of like a Planescape Torment character. Look, I'm already at 4 Wrath. I'm sure I'll have plenty of opportunities to raise my Wrath with him and get to that 5 Wrath. It's not gonna not happen. I wonder if I can just go through... You know, I wonder if I can... Why not find out now? Because... Whaler? Hmm. What does it mean to be an Archon? No, it doesn't mean that. There's no chance that that's the case, Saito. There's no chance that it just arbitrarily kills you off when you had no way of knowing that, and then you're already stuck with the extremely high wrath. There's no way they would design the game that way. This is not the 80s when people designed games like that. What does it mean to be an Archon?
I am a figure of power and significance, and under Kairos' mandate I am able to exercise my authority for the benefit of all. Had I not earned the Overlord's approval, I would not stand tall before you.
Did you come into power yourself? Or did Kairos foster your talents?
An astute question. Doubtless I exhibited some spark of potential on my own. Insignificant, though enough to accomplish deeds of note. Only under Kairos' tutelage have I grown to these heights.
So he had some power, but not much, and Kairos basically taught him to become a powerful Archon. Could anyone become an Archon?
Absolutely not. Only a precious few grow into this authority. Were it otherwise, Tyranny would descend into pandemonium. Of those few who rise into power, fewer still have the self-control to make lawful use of their talents. And of those who can, fewer still are deemed worthy of Kairos' approval.
Is every Archon subservient to Kairos?
All are subservient before Kairos, but I intuit your meaning. The Overlord takes great pains to recognize potential. Before an Archon comes into their power, they will have faced the harshest scrutiny, by an agent of recruitment, if not Blood and Mark himself.
So they vet the Archons.
Those who were found worthy of incredible deeds, but refuse to join their strength to the needs of the Empire, are doomed to die. Those who wish to make a name for themselves are invited into the fold to serve and rule the needs of the Empire. This is the price of power in Kairos' hierarchy.
I don't think she's wholly dependent on her underlings. She just uses her underlings, just like anybody that's at the head of a hierarchy. She uses the underlings so she doesn't. I mean, do you think Kairos is going to go wandering off and, like, physically walk to all these places to do her thing? I mean, she can't be bothered with that. If she wasn't an absolute badass in and of her own power, somebody already would have fucking knocked her off her throne by now. She doesn't need people to read her edicts. She just uses people to read her edicts. She's got better stuff to do. She's probably sacrificing people for blood magic and studying ancient things and increasing her power and faffing about and eating grapes. Let's go back to my questions about you. Did you come up with the Office of Fatebinders?
Indirectly, yes. Just as I am the representative of Kairos' law across Terratus, you are the face of my judgment for the people. I took inspiration from the Overlord's example, as we all should. The people needed an approachable face to settle their grievances, and I am not available to adjudicate on every sharecropper's dispute. The Fatebinders were an inevitable solution.
Why is curiosity such a problem?
Because my vassals are not selected for their independence of thought. You are an agent of law, the execution of which falls within strict confines. Your intellect may aid the tasks ahead of you, but your unwavering obedience is of greater value to me.
$4.58, here we go. Don't you want me to interpret Kairos' laws to fit any circumstance?
Naturally, but take care not to let your intellect veer you from the straightforward path. I have seen it happen, and lost more than one pupil who thought themselves above their station, convinced that they knew better.
Oh, that's me. I'm convinced I know better. What happened to those pupils?
Anyone who oversteps their bounds is given the opportunity to amend their ways.
Oh, so he gives you a second chance. That's actually pretty good of him.
Those who fail to heed my warning show contempt for Kairos' peace and are treated accordingly.
What's interesting is under the laws of Kairos, literally no one except for Tunon has the right to kill me. Even other Archons, because it's specifically in the laws, Archons are not allowed to kill other Archons, and they're not allowed to kill the servants or minions or vassals of other Archons. They're only allowed to kill their own vassals. So, like, even if, like, fucking Graven Ash went nuts and killed me, he would be violating Kairos' law by doing so. He'd be in trouble. Unless Kairos is actually the scroll, after the Edict is read, she sneaks away and pretends to be a new scroll the next time. That's weird.
The purpose of law is to set the standard for others. Though I am generous with the freedom I offer to Fatebinders, you are still inextricably tied to Kairos' law. Straining that tether to a breaking point will reflect poorly upon you.
Back to my previous questions.
What would you know?
I wish to speak about matters of law.
Then you are well situated, for my court is the legal heart of this corrupt and uncivilized realm.
Why doesn't he send massive assassins to kill Graven Ash and Voices for violating that law? Well, I mean, violations of the law are happening constantly. It's just like in the real world. We have all these laws, right? People are fucking I mean, there are millions of violations of the law taking place every minute in the world. Do we punish every one of those? Obviously not. In theory, we should be punishing every single one of those millions of violations of every single law everywhere in the world. But that's just not, you know, realistic. And I imagine the more powerful you are, the more important you are, the more leeway you get to break laws and kind of get, you know, not punished as readily or whatever. I'm not sure, though. I mean, it did say, though, specifically that Archons are not allowed to kill other Archons or the minions of other Archons. I would imagine that most of the Archons obey the laws, and when they start breaking them, they probably have to break the laws for a while. Like, you know, have a repeated pattern of not obeying Kairos before eventually they get destroyed.
What matters draw your curiosity? You are already well versed in Kairos' laws, but I am happy to discuss the particulars.
Wow, suddenly a million more questions. I wish to discuss Kairos' peace.
The cornerstone of our wartime efforts, of course. Kairos' peace guarantees all willing supplicants under the Overlord's authority a place in her world. The exact wording of the bylaw is, your life is not yours to discard. The Overlord has plans for you. This extends to several spheres of influence. Among others, it grants protection to enemies who surrender in a time of war, and it forbids suicide. To dispense with the Overlord's vassal and property is prohibited.
Remind me of how the Overlord's name may be used.
It is not forbidden to cross one's tongue with Kairos' name, but it behooves one to use caution and respect. The Overlord's name is not yours to give, whether to progeny, product, location, or abstraction. Slander of the Overlord is punishable by death. There is only one Kairos, and her name is safeguarded. No one may say Kairos and have it obfuscated by a second meaning.
So yeah, you can't name your kid Kairos. You can't name your business, you know, Kairos' favorite tavern or whatever. I don't know that Tunon is an antagonist, though, Saito. I don't know that he's an antagonist per se. I mean, right now he's your boss. We may never actually come into any direct conflict with Tunon at all.
Neither will her name be associated to trivialities. A gambler will not attribute his fortune to Kairos' luck, or his misfortune to Kairos' scorn. Such an association lowers the Overlord in the public estimate, and is rightly considered slander most foul.
Yeah, I remember reading about this in the guidebook where it said, like, if you won a lucky roll in a dice game, you're not allowed to say that it was Kairos' will that you won, because it was like disrespectful to assume that Kairos would give a fuck about your stupid little dice game enough to, you know, will that you won. Let's discuss the old walls. Oh, this is going to be a tricky subject.
The old walls are forbidden, as are their contents and their denizens. Owning any item from the old walls is considered trespass, regardless of how it came into your possession. Mind that in the course of your travels. As the old walls extend across much of the tiers and Northern Empire alike, Kairos permits her servants to pass only where she has sculpted the land shape to permit traverse. Under no circumstances are you to enter a breach in the old walls, even for a task as innocent as crossing to the other side.
That's what I was talking about earlier. You can see it on the map. There's certain places where the land itself goes up over the walls because Kairos altered the landscape to allow for that. That's the only place people are allowed to cross the walls. Me J27, how you doing? Good to see ya. Could use for name actually in effect, though, you wonder, Anonymous? Maybe. Who knows? Remind me of the magician's folly.
Practitioners of the arcane arts must be sanctioned by one of Kairos' guilds, such as the Blood Chanters or Forgebound. Rogue magicians with a tenuous grasp of unknown powers will not be tolerated.
Eb lowers her gaze. Oh, she is a rogue magician. I've got a rogue magician right here, Tunon. Eb lowers her gaze to the ground, thumbing the cords of her bandolier in a thinly veiled attempt to appear uninvolved in the discussion. It's rainy season there? We haven't had rain here in quite a while.
Your orphaned mage there is covered by the aegis of the Blood Chanters Guild. When you consigned the elders of the school to their fate, all of her tradition are now, in the eyes of the law, Blood Chanters.
Oh, she's gotta love that. Diplomatic immunity, and all it cost me was my dignity. So I'm a blood chanter in the eyes of the law? Just salt the wounds, why don't you? What's up, Necro? How you doing? I killed Arenos. She didn't seem that tough. Didn't seem that tough to me. Oh, of course, you're probably playing on a harder difficulty. You're probably playing on Path to the Damned or something, right? She wasn't that difficult on normal difficulty. How you doing, Necro?
A sanctioned mage whose spellcasting causes damage to life or property is lawfully deemed innocent. As long as they practice their art in the service of Kairos, all is forgiven.
And I already used this law. I already quoted this law to make a judgment earlier in the game. Let's speak of quotas and sharing.
The harvest blooms and blights by the will of Kairos. In times of lean you will be fed. In times of wealth you will feed others.
See, that's the law I was talking about earlier. I quoted that earlier when I was talking about it, because I read about it in the guidebook. It's basically communism.
This law is a sizable category unto itself, serving many needs at once, trade and tax being only two examples. The broadest intent of the law is to empower Kairos' subjects to care for their neighbor and expect care in return. You might take note of the law's application to trade. A merchant's right to peddle their wares is defined by permits granted annually. The regional authority has the right to decide if a merchant sells cabbage one year and sandals the next. Anyone breaking through their restrictions is subject to immediate forfeiture of all assets. You need not concern yourself over the nuances, at least until they apply to this contested realm in a time of peace.
Play through the game at a reasonable pace. Ironic to say that in this... I know, right? This is not the place for a reasonable pace. I'm curious about the restriction on forbidden knowledge.
Kairos herself sets the standards of what can and cannot be known. These restrictions are rarely enforced, but they are worth taking into account. During the war, for example, Kairos deemed the knowledge of the Vellum Citadel taboo. No one may possess the wisdom of that fallen repository save Kairos herself.
Calling it taboo seems a bit like overkill, but to play Kairos' advocate, the world would hardly be safer if all had access to the lore of making poisons or the art of arming brigands in the fine bronze.
This is for the protection of her subjects. Before the coming of Kairos, during the ages of anarchy and discord, powerful knowledge in undeserving hands leveled empires without thought or mercy. Kairos has no desire to revisit those dark times.
Also, Kairos has no desire of anybody getting as powerful as her so that they can beat her and take over. Am I beholden to these laws? That's a stupid question, but I'm asking it anyway. Am I beholden to these laws?
That should not be in question. We are all subjects of Kairos. Her laws define and regulate our very way of life.
The whole concept of laws irritates me. I don't like laws.
With that said, as an agent of law, you are granted more leeway than a soldier or citizen. You may find yourself compelled to commit morally questionable acts in the name of Kairos. If it serves the court's justice, much may be forgiven.
So the rules don't apply to you as long as you're enforcing them on someone else. I want your job.
If the court finds any of your actions suspect, we will summon you to answer for yourself. Your testimony will be heard and judgment rendered. You are exceedingly curious about the application of Kairos' law. I find it refreshing that you would seek my counsel, Fatebinder.
Back to my previous questions. Actually, I have no more questions.
Then be on your way.
Alright, so that was a long and interesting conversation with Kairos. And now we can leave.
Yes.
Do these guys have anything new to say now? We speak again, so let us speak genuinely and at length with one another. Now, of what matter would you have us discuss? The Fatebinder rubs his fingers along the edge of his jaw, regarding it with interest. Nope. 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 Okay. Nope. Okay. We're done here. Oh, I guess we're not. Is that Blood and Mark? Oh shit, Blood and Mark in the house. Oh, that is him.
Welcome back, kid. Amusing as it would have been to watch the edict drop, I guess I'm glad you lived.
Blood and Mark, Archon of Shadows, rouses from a faraway stare, turning to face you with a wry smile. Though he stands still, he seems to sift in and out of the shadows that shroud him. They call him B-Mark. Uh-oh, he's already mad at me and we just met.
But to draw blood from your allies.
His symbol is just black. Nice, everybody's got their little symbol, their little heraldry. His is just a black field. Alright, this guy's pretty hardcore. The Archon flashes his teeth, flat and pearly white, a sharp contrast from the shadowed depth of his face. He folds his arms across his chest, hands resting against the bandolier of blades that span his waist. Just gained some wrath with him. Did what I had to do. What's it to you, Archon of the Elderly? No, I don't think I'm gonna sass Blade and Mark like that. He's the greatest assassin in the world. I can glare silently at Blood and Mark. The wording of the edict was clear. They were committing fatal negligence against each other by not cooperating. I didn't write Kairos' rule, I just enforced it.
True enough. The disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus brought about their own demise. Those that lived should be thanking you for your mercy. What has me curious is your use of the Tearsmen, the Oathbreakers of our people. You're content to cut down your allies, yet spare your enemy. Some would consider it an unusual choice.
I already explained this to the adjudicator. If I did anything illegal, he would have sentenced me. Blood and Mark narrows his gaze, examining you from head to toe.
Before you go and conspire with the locals too much, you and I need to have a chat.
Glare silently. I'm listening.
Everyone's keeping an eye on you. Because you did something nobody has done before. Got a guess as to what that might be?
Well, I ascended to the top of a spire. That's one thing I did. I proclaimed 2 edicts. That's another thing I did. I fucking was just rad in general. Engaged in a war against an allied soldiers. First Fate Binder to proclaim 2 edicts. First to resolve an edict before its consequences came to pass. First to awaken a spire. First to take an evasive stance against your rhetorical questions. Oh, I don't know how I want to answer this, but number 5 is pretty funny. I also tasted all the inks. I don't think I'm qualified to do a voice for an audiobook. I'm just not good enough at it. My voices are too inconsistent, and I'm just not good enough at it. I mean, when I listen to professional voice actors and professional narrators, I can hear how much better they are than me. It's ridiculous. Like, they sound so perfect, and I do not. I gotta go with the sassy answer, I think. I'm the first person to take an evasive stance against your rhetorical questions.
Second, actually, but not that.
I got some favor with him. The Archon raises an eyebrow and his golden eyes glimmer with the briefest hint of amusement.
Proclaiming an edict isn't new. Neither is surviving or resolving the commandments of an edict. But you're the first to proclaim and resolve the very same edict, and it didn't kill you. In one fell swoop, you survived your second edict, resolved the very one you had proclaimed, and woke an arcane structure that had slept for several centuries.
Yeah, I know, Blood and Mark. I was there. So, why are you telling me this? Did I do something wrong?
Calm down, kid. This isn't a list of charges.
He thumbs the blade of a dagger and grins.
Prosecution isn't part of my job description. Executing a judgment, well, that's another matter. I don't care what you do with the information, but you should know the danger you're in now that you've put yourself on the map. If you want to drum up more support from the Tearsmen, being the binder that broke the Overlord's edict is a good opener for diplomacy. Not saying trusting them is the best course of action, but it's a better strategy than watching Ash and the Voices muck around without consequence.
Thanks for the advice. Wait, should I say that, or wait, there's still so much I want to ask you? Thanks for the advice. We liked that. The Archon of Shadows shrugs to you in farewell, but his golden eyes are alight with interest as he watches you. Have you heard his voice before? No. No, we have not. I have no idea what his voice is supposed to sound like. Wait, I can just walk up and talk to him some more? I thought he just disappeared into shadows or some shit. Oh no, I guess he didn't disappear into shadows. Okay. Well, let's talk to him some more.
How about a little breathing room, kid?
Alright. Yeah, he's pretty cool. So now he goes onto my list of things that I have reputation with. Archon of Shadows. Rumor makes him Kairos' deadly assassin, though few will willingly speak of him for fear of drawing his gaze. So he is now the 5th Archon we have met. Siren is 1, and these 4. We hang out. We meet Archons. We're like that. Hopefully it's not going to be like that one statue dude in the asylum in Defiance Bay. Oh, didn't I do like a totally weird-ass voice for him, and then later I found out what his voice was supposed to sound like, and it was totally normal and didn't sound anything like my weird-ass voice that I was doing? Because that happens a lot in these games. Nox. I think it will notify me when I get a missive. There's no missives. It'll have a thing that pops up that'll be like, do you got a missive. I suspect. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Alright, so I think the first thing to do is obviously go back and speak with Tarkus Ari again back at the Spire. Apparently I can't go anywhere else in the city right now. At the moment. Because, like, yeah, I could go to Lethian's Crossing, but let's go back. Let's go back to, the Mountain Spire. So she's in Ascension Hall, I guess. How many Archons do we know? We've heard mentioned all sorts of old Archons and random other Archons. The only ones we know of that are, like, in this game that we know of are 5. The 5 that I've now met and talked to. Oh, plus Karen. You're right. So 6. Well, they've mentioned a shitload of other Archons. In all the talks about magic and everything, and the different Archons that they got magic from, and the descriptions of the sigils. I mean, at least 10 other Archons have been mentioned, but a lot of them were like Archons from some previous time they may not exist, or Archons that pissed off Kairos and got destroyed, or Archons that destroyed each other, whatever. A ton of Archons have been mentioned in various people's talking about the history and the lore. But ones that are actually currently relevant or in the area of the tiers is just 6. The 5 we've met plus Karen, who may or may not be dead. Yeah, the Archon of Fungus was one of them. Now there's people in here. There weren't people in here before. Arcus, Honor Guard. Stratos? Who the fuck is Stratos? Alright, we're back here, which is good. We're going to talk to the people in here, obviously including Tarkus Ari. After we talk with everyone here, well, at that point, who knows what we'll do, because we don't know what new quest will open up after we talk to her. But most likely, after we talk to her, we're going to end up going to, you know, Lathian's Crossing. Very slowly turning into an Archon of Stench. I don't know, from what I've read, it didn't seem like Archons necessarily immediately replace one another or whatever. Like they said, certain Archons, there had been multiple of that kind of Archon over the millennia, but they didn't necessarily, weren't necessarily back to back. I mean, nothing was said that they were back to back. Like, there's always been an Archon of Fire or something. There might have been multiple Archons of Fire, but they existed at different times. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. In our next episode, we'll talk to the people here in this room. We'll figure out what quests we've got, what we want to do, and we'll proceed forward with the game. Good times, good times. But that's all for now. So thanks for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Tyranny.